Making the most out of your Kanban board comes from not only implementing best Kanban practices, but also avoiding common Kanban mistakes. In this video, we're going to learn about some of the most common mistakes that you'll see and how you can avoid them. First, let's talk about unclear ownership of tasks. And this happens when you have tasks in your Kanban board and they're not properly assigned out to someone. An example of this could be that you have 4 new tasks in your backlog or your to-do on your Kanban, but no one is actually assigned to them. Because there's no clear owner of those tasks, it's highly likely that they won't get done on time, and no one will know who's actually responsible for completing those tasks and closing them out. The easiest way to avoid this Kanban mistake is just ensuring that whenever you're adding tasks that you're assigning them out, and whenever anyone on your team is adding tasks, that they're either assigning those tasks or they're letting you know so that you can assign them out. Kanban mistake number 2 is the board not being updated frequently. You should be doing frequent and periodic checks to not only check the tasks that are within your board, but also ensuring that the columns are still relevant for what you're doing. One of the easiest ways to avoid this type of mistake is to have a periodic cadence where you go in and you frequently check your board. That way you can go through and update it as needed. For example, in your calendar, you might put a reoccurring meeting for one time a week where you can work with your team or by yourself, go through your Kanban board and ensure that everything is accurate as well as up to date. The third most common Kanban mistake is the board not being used by an entire team. Whenever you create a Kanban board, especially if you're working with others, you should show them how to use the Kanban board, how to access it, as well as general principles for updating it. If even 1 or 2 people who should be using your board aren't, it's going to throw everything off. Tasks won't be assigned properly, work won't be completed, and overall, Kanban becomes a lot less effective. The easiest way to avoid this mistake is ensuring that whoever needs to be using the Kanban board is frequently using it. If you notice that someone is starting to do work outside of the Kanban board when they should be using the Kanban board, well, you should have a talk with them and ensure that they understand the importance of using a Kanban board. Remember, Kanban works best when everyone involved is using your board. The fourth Kanban mistake is having too many tasks in progress. We've actually talked about this quite a bit in this section already, and this is what's known as our work in progress or a work in progress limit. In order to make sure that we don't have too many tasks being worked on all at once, you want to set a work in progress limit with your team and make sure that they're abiding by that limit. For example, you might have a work in progress limit of 5 tasks, which essentially states that you can only work on up to 5 tasks in that entire board at any given time. The fifth and final Kanban mistake is having too many columns. We talked about this a lot already in this section, and the general rule of thumb for Kanban boards is to have between 3 to 7 columns. If you have any more than 7, you're probably better off using something like a list view or another task or project management tool. On the opposite end, though, you're going to want to have at least 3 columns. That way you can properly track your work. Make sure that when you're doing board reviews, you're not just checking different types of tasks and the column names, but you're also checking how many columns that specific Kanban board has. Additionally, you should make your team aware that 3 to 7 columns is best practice. And to wrap this one up, we covered the 5 most common Kanban mistakes and how you can avoid them. As we move forward in this section, make sure that you're avoiding these common mistakes and also implementing best practices. They can be used both on physical Kanban boards as well as digital Kanban boards.